I've been on that same freeway between Fernley and Fallon and had somebody coming at me at 2 o'clock in the morning on the freeway, and I actually believed in my brain at that moment that I was going back from Fallon on the 2-lane highway. It's like, what is this person doing here? I get it.
Okay, Ms. Mitchell, this is case number CR 22-4980, State of Nevada versus Jaymie and Dan Mitchell. Counsel, appearances, please. Excuse me.
Jaymie Reichenberg for the state.
Hi, Mr. Reichenberg, how are you this morning?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Steve on this. Thank you, Mr. Evenson. This is the date and time set for a sentencing in this case. Should we sit back there?
Sorry, you guys have to sit on that side.
Oh, we have to sit on this. Mr. Evenson, looking at the pre-sentence investigation report filed March 14th of 2024, can you tell me have you and your client had an opportunity to review that, and do you have any changes?
Your Honor, we do not have any changes, corrections, or additions at this
Not
time.
you, Mr. Evenson.
Oh, sorry.
Again?
No changes, additions, or corrections at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Officer Yuri, Ms. Mitchell tested negative this morning?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Evenson, sir, I turn to you with regard to your argument for sentencing in this case.
Your Honor, Mr. Reichenberg and I have agreed he would go first in that regard because of the nature of what things are going to be recommended today. If that's agreeable to the court.
Okay. Mr. Reichenberg, I know we have a victim in this case. Should I anticipate testimony from that individual?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stay there until Mr. Reichenberg calls you, please. Okay, yes, sir.
And Your Honor, I do have a brief couple clips of video from this incident that was going to play today for the court.
Okay.
I have it set up here, and I just...
Do you have, okay, let's start here. Is that a thumb drive that's in your computer?
It is a thumb drive, and I have not had it marked.
Can we have it marked as Exhibit 1 to these proceedings? Mr. Evenson, have you been provided with a copy of the thumb drive that is Exhibit 1?
I've been provided with the master disk that it came from, and Mr. Reichenberg told me what he intended on playing today, and I have no objection to that, and I think even if I did, you would overrule it when I play it anyway. So.
Do you have any objection to it?
No.
Exhibit 1 is admitted for purposes of sentencing. All right, Mr. Reichenberg, whenever you're ready.
Yes, Your Honor.
Deputy, we can all see better if you just push those lights for me. Get some reflections off on the screen. Thank you.
And so you're on the first clip, the clips that I'll be playing this morning. There were two commercial drivers who were driving when this incident occurred. The first clip is from the dash cam of a commercial driver who observed the collision, and then the second is from a driver who was driving westbound on Interstate 80, and Ms. Mr. was driving the wrong direction, and was subject to a collision when another driver tried to move away. And so I'll first play the first clip on this. And there's no sound on any of the clips.
So this is through the window of the first commercial driver, his dash cam.
Yes, and it's going across the intersection over Interstate 80 into Sparks.
Alert me to when you see the vehicle in question.
Yes, so they, I apologize, I will pause just a moment. The second vehicle, there's a vehicle to the left that's a silver vehicle, and the vehicle in front of that is the victim's vehicle, the one that struck, and then you will see a white GMC Yukon coming from the opposite direction.
Can you go back and show me that again?
Yes, Your Honor. So I'll start from the intersection on the other side. And there you can see the victim vehicle right there. And I'll be playing the second clip now. And I apologize, Your Honor, this one's not quite as good a resolution, but after they make the turn on 80 into Sparks, you will see this vehicle is in the fast lane, as it were, the left-hand lane, and there's another vehicle to the right. And it's a quick moment when you see Ms. Mitchell's vehicle oncoming and the outside of the driving lanes. This vehicle that's being overtaken on the right-hand side that swerves into this vehicle of the viewpoint that we have.
Is this, what roadway is this?
Your Honor, this is Interstate 80, driving westbound into Sparks. We're just now able to see kind of the outskirts of Sparks and the wastewater treatment center to the left of the river.
Show it to me again, please.
Yes.
How, the timing on the, between the two incidents?
Your Honor, it was a matter of minutes, so the initial call for dispatch was about 11:53. And then that was essentially just a couple minutes later. That was when we see from the first video Ms. Mitchell's vehicle getting on the wrong way on Interstate 80, then this is just down Interstate 80 to the east. So it's all the same.
When she hit the car in the first clip, she was getting onto I-80 going in the wrong direction.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then how far down the road was this?
This is within a couple miles, Your Honor. This is what we can see here in the middle is the sign to get off at the first Sparks exit.
How far did she drive on I-80 in the wrong direction?
Your Honor, it's unknown how far she drove in the wrong direction. Part of this, in this case, as the court may know from reading the pre-sentence investigation, ultimately, after Highway Patrol was dispatched in this case, troopers in the Fernley Fallon troop tried to find Ms. Mitchell because they were receiving many phone calls that the vehicle was driving the wrong way down the road. In Fernley, she had somehow switched to driving in the eastbound lane, so the correct side of the road. Fernley is approximately 45 miles away from where the incident first took place, the first collision that we saw. By that time, and it was, I believe it was like 12:53, so about an hour later when Highway Patrol found her vehicle in Fernley. They initiated a pursuit. They were waiting. The report from that case, we received and provided discovery in this case as well, was that she was driving in excess of 120 miles an hour, and so pursuit was halted at that time.
They were pursuing, she wasn't driving at 120 miles an hour, they were pursuing her, and she was driving at 120 miles an hour.
Yes, Your Honor. So the pursuit, what's that?
It's not clear to me, Judge, whether or not the pursuit caused the 120 or whether or not she was going 120 anyway. I think that's the question we're asking, and I don't think it's clear from the reports.
Then we can put the lights back on. Okay. All right, so I hope I haven't gotten you too far off the rail you intended to travel on.
No, thank you, Your Honor. And so ultimately on that day, Highway Patrol and Fernley attempted to effectuate a traffic stop on her. They said in that report that at various points she was driving approximately 120 miles an hour, so they stopped pursuit because They did not want to endanger the rest of the motoring public. When they stopped pursuit, they went back to the Fernley area, and ultimately, as they were driving around on patrol, they ultimately found that Ms. Mitchell had returned to the area. They found the vehicle parked off the side of the interstate with nitrous oxide containers in the vehicle as well. And ultimately, Ms. Mitchell was taken into custody. In that particular case, she was charged in Churchill County, as may be reflected in the precinct's investigation. She was charged with the felony and limiting charge, and that is the case that she is currently in the mental health court. Your Honor, in this case, the state is recommending 19 to 48 months in the Department of Corrections for Ms. Mitchell. Your Honor, this is somewhat of a unique posture in the case, in the fact that we, in this incident, we have two jurisdictions wherein crimes were committed. Here, this was ultimately a negotiated resolution as far as the plea for her striking the vehicle and then leaving the scene. And then the separate fleeing from the officers in Churchill County. It is my understanding that on that Churchill County case, so she was given diversion. She was sent to the mental health court. And it's my understanding she's now in phase 4. And so I understand also that in some ways, the state's recommendation here in this case is where we are coming in and asking for prison. We acknowledge that to this point she has done what she needs to do on that Churchill case, and that she has been a participant in the mental health court and has done well there. Your Honor, the basis for this recommendation on this particular case, I would note that in reviewing this case and the time I've been working on this case, the mental health issues for Ms. Mitchell have been front and center. Ms. Mitchell presents as a person who had no apparent criminal justice involvement prior to this month, essentially. Her first criminal justice involvement was approximately 12 days earlier. She reports that she was having issues with her mental health, a kind of manic break. And so prior to November 2022, Ms. Mitchell had no criminal justice involvement. I would note, though, the vast majority of cases that we see in the criminal justice system, the defendants do have some component of mental health underlying. Substance abuse issues, other sorts of diagnosis. I would note from reviewing the PSI, Ms. Mitchell had a lot of good opportunities in her life, although it's clear she's been struggling with mental health for a number of years. But it's also clear from the PSI that she was self-medicating for a number of at least months, if not years prior to that. Reflected in the PSI, we have marijuana use daily, cocaine use, and then ultimately in this time frame, use of nitrous oxide. And what's so dangerous about that, Your Honor, is that one, just the damage it does to an individual, but two, in combination with driving, the fact that oftentimes the result of ingesting nitrous oxide is for an individual to pass out. Clearly from the video, from the moment she strikes the victim's vehicle, she takes off. In fact, we're going to call her another vehicle almost turned to follow her, trying to get a license plate. I don't know what their intentions were, but and she did not stop. And in fact, drove down 80, essentially the wrong way. She was on the shoulder, but causing at least one other collision on our way that we know about. Doubtless risking many drivers who were driving understated.
Aside from the victim's car, she hit another car?
Well, so in what we saw, the vehicle that
The one that was being overtaken when we
was,
saw her?
yes, then collided with the semi-truck, and so there were statements in the discovery from those individuals as well that there was 3 occupants in the black truck that was being overtaken that hit into the semi. And that driver provided statement in the discovery. There were no injuries in those, just property damage and vehicles colliding, trying to.
It happens.
Yes, trying to get this.
There was no blood alcohol in this case?
Your Honor, so that is correct. In the case, I guess, after this incident occurred, Highway Patrol went to the Flowing Tide Hub where they obtained video of Ms. Mitchell having a Bloody Mary with breakfast, which she admitted to. Officers as well.
I thought it was 2. She recalled the
2,
defendant
yes.
ordering 2 Bloody Marys, breakfast and soda.
Yes. And by the time that the blood draw was conducted in the Fallon case, there was no blood alcohol present.
How much later was that?
Your Honor, I believe it was approximately 3 p.m. by the time they did the blood draw.
And this was everything that happened was between the hour of noon and 1 p.m.
Yes, sir. And so, with Ms. Mitchell, she presents in November of 2022 as an individual who undoubtedly had mental health problems, but was also self-medicating. And oftentimes I think we hear about cases where a certain event was a wake-up call. And I submit to the court that the events of reflecting the PSI of November 16, 2022 should have been a wake-up call when he arrested for stealing and having a battery on an officer case. That was negotiated with this case. That should have been a wake-up call for an individual like Ms. Mitchell who had exhibited success in life's endeavors and showed herself to be responsible. But it wasn't. And so 12 days later, we have this incident. Note in the PSI, the batteries on the batteries in this case here in Washoe County was essentially fighting with deputies in intake. That was the same in Churchill County. The officer here indicated that Ms. Mitchell kicked him when they were trying to leave intake with her. Same in the Fallon, it was the officer trying to remove the ring from her to intake, and she socked him with their arms. But ultimately, in this time frame, Ms. Mitchell was, for lack of a better term, out of control. And while there were, again, we are here because there was an offense and injuries were caused. Frankly, it's quite lucky that Ms. Mitchell herself is here, given that footage from the wrong way, her driving the wrong way on 180 on the day, or that there were no other serious injuries. And so, Your Honor, again, the nature of this conduct in this time frame, in the state's view, it warrants punishment. It warrants a prison sentence. Again, procedurally, where we're at, this case has been pending for a while, and she has been completing mental health court and doing well. However, I'd submit to the court that Ms. Mitchell, while having enjoyed a number of successful milestones in her life and being successful in the community outside of this, is similar to many other defendants that come before the Second Judicial District Court every day, in that there are people who are working, dealing with issues, and sometimes people, again, choose self-medication, choose other things, criminal, that lead to criminal conduct, that cause harm in the community. And in that regard, Your Honor, Ms. Mitchell, like every other defendant, should be treated that way.
And the states move that merits and recommendation before the.
Mr. Evenson, Mr. Reichenberg does have a witness, but he's entitled to go last.
I believe by statute that's correct.
That's right.
Correct.
Okay, I'll hear from you now.
Thank you. Your Honor, Mr. Reichenberg is an experienced prosecutor, and certainly showing the video and everything else is designed to have an impact upon this court. The problem is that we're dealing with somebody who is in their late 40s and who prior to these 2 weeks had lived an exemplary life as a single mother, as a practicing attorney, and all of these things. Mr. Reichenberg tips his hand at the end of his presentation to court by saying that Ms. Mitchell deserves to be punished for what took place. He's not sending her to prison for rehabilitation. He's not sending her to come out in some better state than when she went in. He is advocating for punishment. Now, I'm not a particularly politically correct person by any stretch of the imagination. But when dealing with people with mental health issues, which is unrebutted by the state today, to come in and ask that they be punished while they are clearly in the throes of those mental health conditions is not where we are as a society today. And it is not where we should be as a criminal justice system today. And it isn't where this district attorney's office should be today. And Mr. Reichenberg is in essence saying that any person on these same facts who comes before this court should be punished for 19 to 48 months in the Nevada State Prison. There is not one person in this courtroom who believes that that is going to do one thing to rehabilitate Ms. Mitchell, that that is going to serve any sort of specific deterrence to her or general deterrence to anybody else that finds themselves in the same situation. It meets none of the peniological purposes that we are taught in law school. It is only retribution and punishment that the state seeks here. And the question is why? I can only speculate as to why. But while Mr. Reichenberg is very artful in the way he presents things, it is also shaded to his position. So let's be perfectly clear. She has temporarily lost her law license. She's been working as best as she can in whatever capacity that she can to feed her and her son that she is a single mother of and for which the father's parental rights were voluntarily terminated. She has been doing everything she can to fulfill her obligations to this court in the pre-sentencing realm and in the district court in Fallon under her conviction there. Be very clear, these are two convictions for, in essence, the same offense, but they are different offenses in different counties. The state is asking that even though Judge Stockard decided to give her mental health court, knowing what went on here, and to my knowledge, the victim today also testified in the Churchill County case, which is a little bit of a foreign concept to me. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but that's what happened. I wasn't the lawyer on that case. But this is all one incident. By the quirks of geography, the state has 2 felonies on this lady. However, if she'd gone the wrong way westbound on 80, all this may have occurred in Washington County. She should not be victimized by geography here. She should be held out for what she actually did and did not do. And what she actually did do was have a mental health break. She remembers nothing about what took place this day and much of that other time period. Now, Mr. Reichenberg can speculate that she was mental health self-medicated for a long time and possibly a long time. There is no evidence of that in this case. That is rank speculation on the part of the state. And we should be clear here that if it were true, you would expect to see other criminal incidences before these 2 weeks came up in the previous years. People who self-medicate to drive intoxicated. People who self-medicate tend to get into bar fights. People who self-medicate tend to come to court and be held in contempt for not appearing and doing those kind of things. None of those things ever happened with Ms. Mitchell prior to these, as he says, couple of weeks in November of 2022. I understand that the state wants to make sure that people do not drive the wrong way down the freeway. I have been on that same freeway between Fernley and Fallon and had somebody coming at me at 2 o'clock in the morning on the freeway, and I actually believed in my brain at that moment that I was going back from Fallon on the 2-lane highway. It's like, what is this person doing here? I get it. I understand that. But we have to judge it on the basis of what happened with her, not necessarily what didn't happen. Everybody was at risk, that's correct. There's no question that it posed risks. But none of those risks were materially fulfilled. She very easily could have became a hood ornament on a Peterbilt. No question about it. She didn't. There's other people that could have been injured. They weren't. So, and somehow, at some point, and we don't know whether or not that was at the next exit, which would be Mustang or Lockwood, from where we saw that second video, somehow she got the right way on the freeway. They have no idea where. So to speculate that she drove all the way to Fernley before she got on the right track, so to speak, that can't be proven or talked about, and we can't obtain that information from her. So while the information that you see is bad, and we're not in any way, shape, or form saying it's good or it should be ignored, to allow the state to paint a picture of her driving all the way to Fernley and all these other people being at risk, we don't have that. We just don't. There is, it's just not there. And then you relate that back to what we were taught in law school and you've learned on the bench as a practicing lawyer about the peniological purposes of punishment. And it doesn't meet those goals. Now, Ms. Mitchell is not asking to be treated differently than anybody else because of her status or her practicing lawyering or anything else. But she does have the same factors that a lot of people have. She's provided for herself. She ran a business. She took care of her child. She was the goal for everybody that comes before this court in a criminal case, a productive member of society. And right now, today, because of her actions since this took place, and because of Judge Stalker seeing that she was worthy of mental health court, she is very close to being integrated back into where she was in November of 22. The state's position would destroy that. And maybe I should say October of 22. The state's position would destroy that. Why? Why would the state wish to waste the time of the mental health court and the resources that were provided to her that could have been supplied to somebody else if they were so dead set on sending her to prison? Why would the system put all of this effort and faith into her only to completely destroy it by adopting the state's recommendation? Ms. Mitchell does not mind being kept under supervision. She does not mind going to drug court. She does not mind going to mental health court. She does not mind being in any diversion program the court seeks to be fit.
Here?
Here.
I can't put her in any program here. There's no substance abuse evaluation. Is there? Did you file a substance abuse evaluation in this case?
Judge, I filed the mental health evaluation, the mental health court evaluation. I believe that there was a substance abuse evaluation as a part of that. I could be mistaken.
Okay, you said drug court.
Whatever, Your Honor, I certainly believe that Ms. Mitchell would indicate that she was self-medicating at that time. Certainly she's not now. And I believe the statute says for drug court they can either admit or there has to be a evaluation. If there's not an evaluation, I believe that there certainly could be one. All I'm saying is, Judge, is that she's willing to do whatever the court is asking her to do, to demonstrate to you and to demonstrate to Mr. Reichenberg and everybody else that she is the productive member of society she was for her entire adult life before this happened. The simple fact is, Judge, is that courts, when they judge people on a micro, on a case of what could have happened, as opposed to what actually did happen, runs the risk of outweighing the macro of somebody's entire life. And her entire life on the macro, as you've seen in the letters that have been submitted, as you've seen in the people that are here behind me today, many of whom are here, all of them, most of the people in the gallery are here to support Ms. Mitchell. Her family is here, many friends, other lawyers. Everybody is here today to support her and make it clear to this court that she is worthy of rehabilitation and not earning of punishment. That's the simplest way to put it, Judge, is that that's what's deserved here is continued rehabilitation. And we hope that the court uses its discretion to do that by continuing her in mental health court for whatever term the court feels is appropriate, by putting her into whatever other program is necessary, however the court wishes to do that, we're happy to do that. And Ms. Mitchell is happy to do that. This is not somebody who is coming before the court and saying, I didn't do anything. She is saying she doesn't remember and that it wasn't her right self, which is true, but the actual harm caused as a result of that does not merit what the state asked for of punishment. In many cases, it is solely rehabilitation. And with somebody who has, from our perspective, earned that opportunity by living a very good life, an exemplary life to this point, we hope that the court finds that she's worthy of that opportunity. Thank you.
Mr. Evenson, thank you so much. Ms. Mitchell, the law affords you an opportunity to tell me anything you want me to know prior to the imposition of sentence in your case. This is your chance.
Thank you, Your Honor. First off, I just want to tell this court that I am so sorry for what happened. And every day I wake up and it's like a nightmare that I wish never happened. I'm very sorry to the victim that I traumatized him or harmed him in any way. I'm sorry to law enforcement. I'm sorry to the DA's office. I'm sorry to everyone that is involved in this. That you have to be here because of me and my actions. And I take full responsibility for my actions. I have a mental disorder and I did not take my medication. I'm not delicate with my brain chemistry. My brain chemistry, I know now I'm in the mental health program that I cannot use substances, period. I've got a great medical team through the Washington County Mental Health Court, and I would really like to continue on in that program if you allow that to happen.
How much longer are you in that program?
I can be in it as long as I need to be. I've talked to them about this case and in phase 4, but they said that they'll keep me in the program as long as the court deems appropriate.
That's a Lyon County program.
No,
yes?
this is Washoe County. They transferred me from Lyon County, or excuse me, from Churchill County to Washoe County.
It's the misdemeanor mental health court. Who presides over it?
It's not misdemeanor, Judge, it's felony. She's on a felony in lieu.
Who presides over the?
Judge Maddox now, it was Judge Blaha, but he's retired. So, and I'm willing to comply. I'll stay in the program for as long as this court finds that I need to. I found it very beneficial. I really want to help other people with all that I've learned. The first thing I did when I got out of jail was I learned all about, I really was never formally diagnosed. I never had a mental health evaluation. I just knew that I had a mood disorder. And so as soon as I got out of jail, I got a psychiatrist, I got a mental health professional, a therapist, and I started going to that even before I was ordered to do so by any court. And I've stayed with my therapist in mental health court, and they said I can come as long, even when the program's over, I can still continue to see Dr. Exum and my counselor, Bill Pence, because I really feel that I've gotten the most out of those people that I've ever gotten in my life. They actually did a mental health evaluation on me, and so now I know what I have, and I did not know the danger of not taking my medication, which sent me into a manic episode. I learned later, just not even taking it alone, sent me into a manic episode, and then I made very bad choices and ended up doing what I did. And I just want you to know, Your Honor, that I learned my lesson. I will never do anything like that again. I have a video of practice law for the last year and a half, which I love. And I lost my son, who I adore.
Where's your son?
Yeah, I have him now, but he was taken out of my custody by CPS.
She worked through a CPS case for about 6 or 8 months, Judge.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
I have him now, but I have learned the dangers of my mental health, and I know now more than I've known before, and now I feel like if I have the opportunity, I can help other people. I was a family law attorney. A lot of times we get people with mental health issues, and it's my hope and dream and desire to go back and practicing family law, and I'll be able to help people that are going through those kind of things.
Is your license suspended?
I'm inactive disabled right now because I was hospitalized. Before all this happened, I was hospitalized and when I got out of the hospital, I still was not better. That's why I continue to do these crazy things. And so
Are you comfortable telling me what you were hospitalized for?
initially I was reading my medical records. I guess I, but after that they hospitalized. They thought I was psych. They thought I was schizophrenic at one point. I think manic.
Why don't you go through the timeline with her of how that happened, because you were in jail in Reno when you went the first time, right?
What happened was I started feeling really weird, and I didn't connect it to my medication. I started seeing things and hearing things, and I was supposed to go to court in Fallon, and I drove right past the courthouse and ended up staying the night in the desert. And my family, the reporters were missing, and then I came home. My family was still worried about me, and they called the police on me, and a police officer caught me pulling out of my driveway, and he said, let's go back to your house and talk, the family's worried about you, and I said, no, I really felt like I was not. I remember bits and pieces of this, and at that point in time, I just felt like I was not even in this reality. I felt like I maybe died and was in a different realm. I just didn't know. So anyway, I was arrested for that, and then I resisted arrest, and I was hospitalized, and then they put me in the Reno behavioral health, and I was there for a few days, and then I didn't have any family around really to pick me up. It was very isolating there, and I still was not okay after I got released from that hospital. And then a few days later is when I got in a car accident.
In case you're on here this morning.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what else you want me to know.
Basically, Your Honor, that I was a very productive person in this society. I was a lawyer. I raised my son since he was born on my own. This is not in my character, and I will never do anything like this again. I just want the court to know that I am normally a responsible person, and I'm humiliated and regretful of this incident, and you will never see me again. If you put me in a burden, I promise you, I'll take it and I'll run with it and make it a good thing and help other people.
Okay. Ms. Mitchell, thank you very much. Council, we're going to take about a 10-minute break. Mr. Reichenberg, I'm going to come back to you for anything. You have the last word. Anything else the state wants to present, including any witnesses. Mr. Evenson, you're going to go through your file. I see nothing filed in this case in the form of an application for a diversion program as required by the statute.
I had the mental health court application in, did we not?
Take a look at what's filed there. I don't see a mental health court application. I don't see an adult drug court application. I don't see a mental health evaluation. Let me finish. In the district court, in order to make Ms. Mitchell eligible for the mental health court,
Right.
I can't just sua sponte continue her under Judge Maddox.
Right, yeah.
What has to happen here in the Second Judicial District Court is a separate process, and she has to have a mental health evaluation. That mental health evaluation has to be submitted to the mental health court here in the Second Judicial District,
Right,
and then they have to independently, notwithstanding what's happened in Churchill County,
right.
they have to independently make an evaluation and a decision about her eligibility for mental health court here in Whatcom County. And if that happens, she's admitted. And sometimes in a situation like this, I recommend the mental health plus the substance abuse evaluation. The mental health evaluators, especially Dr. Capel and some of these others, can do a joint so that if they say she doesn't have a qualifying diagnosis for the mental health court, then she's eligible for the adult drug court.
Your Honor, my
And
staff.
she said diversion, and
Right.
diversion is something totally
Something
different.
different, yeah, I understand, she's not a criminal law lawyer, so she might be mixing up those terms. All I'm saying, Judge, is this: we did file with the mental health court the application, and that was, there was some email issues with that. It got done last week. I don't know where they are
It
in
takes
the
a lot longer
process.
than a week. It'll take about 35 to 45 days for them to review her application, look at the mental health evaluation, make a decision, and send you a letter that's filed with me.
To my knowledge, Judge, my understanding is that from what she had said, that she'd already been accepted in that process from what they had told her.
They would have filed a letter with me.
I understand that, but the process was started, and I was unaware at the time that it was 35 days or so that they needed that beforehand. We got it as soon as we found out,
Okay.
okay?
If you, and here's the thing, we're closed. I realize
Right.
this feels different to some people, not to me. The point is, this is another case on the court's docket. They're all special,
Right,
okay?
appreciate that.
Notwithstanding the fact that it hasn't been filed, if you regularly appeared in front of me, Mr. Evenson, I would say to you, do you need additional time to do that? I don't want to foreclose any opportunities. I would do the same thing for the state if the victim wasn't available today. Hey, would you like to continue this so that I can hear everything?
Right,
I'm going to take some time off the record, talk amongst yourselves,
okay.
and let me know when they're ready. Deputy Koski, about 15 minutes, okay? And then we'll resume.
Sorry, one more thing.
Mr. Reichenberg.
I apologize. At approximately 10:10, I received a flex notification. This was right before this was called, that the division filed some documentation. I provided, they had a hard copy from me that I provided from Mr. Evenson. It's from the victim in the case. I'm not sure if the court.
Can you please have Ms. Lux hand somebody's hard copy without markings?
Judge, I think that there may be a restitution issue
Hang on,
coming.
don't interrupt.
I thought you were done.
Mr. Reichenberg, if you would please provide whatever you have in a hard copy, no handwritten, no comments, anything on it, if it's from the victim in this case. She'll make a copy for me, and after today, I'm going to ask that you file it in the record if you want it filed. Otherwise, I will just review it and note for the record that I've reviewed it. My preference is that you file.
I do think it has been filed. It was just after, it was at 10 this morning, so it was after the.
I look at a different format. Are we back on the flex?
Yes, it's up and running. Mr. Fowler.
And then, Mr. Reichenberg, what I'm going to do then is, now that council has it, this will give you some additional time, Mr. Evenson, to review it in the event that you want to comment on what you have there. There's a new, by the way, Nevada Supreme Court case hot off the press regarding restitution. This is the victim impact statement filed this morning.
Yes.
Okay, you're right, it's been filed in the case. So thank you for that. I'm going to take a look at that. And then, that's all I've got. Okay, during the break, I will look at that. Mr. Evenson, take your time, look at it. Let us all know when you're ready to move forward. Two of you think about how you want this to go.
Okay, very good, thank you.
All rise. All rise. This court is again in session.
Please, everyone, please be seated. Counsel?
May we approach?
Of course.
Thank you.
All right. Having heard from Mr. Evenson and Ms. Mitchell, Mr. Reichenberg, I turn back to you. I indicated to you before the break that you have the last word, including any witnesses who would like to testify.
Yes, sir. We asked to call Mr. Merritt.
Do solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Your Honor, name is Mr. Reichenberg, and I approach again briefly, just to
Of course.
clear the record. Thank you.
Mr. Reichenberg, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. And can I have you go ahead and state your name and spell your last name for my court reporter?
Andrew Merritt, M-E-R-R-I-T-T.
And Mr. Merritt, you were in court earlier when I was showing some video, is that correct?
Yes,
Was your vehicle pictured in that first video that I showed to the court?
yes.
And which vehicle was yours?
The Volkswagen Jetta, the black one with the dust on the back.
And so it was your vehicle that was hit by Ms. Mitchell in this case, is that correct?
Yes,
Have you prepared a statement that you would like to read to the court?
I have.
If you could go ahead and read that statement to the court, and then I have a couple of follow-up questions for you.
Okay.
Mr. Merritt, when I have a piece of paper in front of me and I'm reading, I tend to go really fast because the words are in front of me. So nice and slow for me and for our court reporter, please.
Just trying to pull that too.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all,
I want to say I thank God on a regular basis that I am still here for my wife and 3 children. I thank God that I did not sustain more serious injuries than the minor scratches on my head and elbows. After the collision, I also had a back issue that subsided after a month or so. Because my injuries were so minor, I did not end up going to the emergency room or the hospital. The vehicle I was in and driving had a well-engineered, well-built side curtain airbag system that deployed right on cue. That vehicle, however, 2017 Volkswagen Jetta with a 1.4 liter engine and manual transmission, was totaled due to the damage incurred by the collision. The insurance company only gave me $74.99 and 41 cents for it, while at the time, in order to purchase that year, make, and model, I would need roughly $15,000 to $20,000. Even now, as I look up that year, make, and model, within the past month, it's $15,590 to $17,359. I have some examples with me, and they are also in the email that I sent to Noah Kavanaugh, who filed that.
I have that. Thank you.
This is a difference of about $9,859 and 59 cents. That was my commuter vehicle. I drive approximately 41 miles one way into town to go to work each day. Over the past year, since the insurance company stopped paying for a rental car, and because I could not purchase a comparable commuter car, I've had to resort to the next best vehicle available to me, my 2008 Nissan Xterra, which holds up better structurally in a collision, thus is less likely to be totaled and taken away because of that. However, it costs more to operate. I have a comparison sheet to show the difference between the 2 vehicles. That's also in that report, I believe. Based on this comparison and the amount of driving I actually do, I would have spent $1,984 on fuel for the Jetta, and the fuel for the Xterra, I spent $38.48. I would like to request $10,000 to deal with these hardships that came about because of this collision on 11/28/22. Thank you.
So, Mr. Merritt, the difference between what the insurance company paid and the replacement is the $9,859.59. And even though, and then the difference in the gas cost is roughly $1,800, but you're only asking to round up to 10
Yeah,
for the total.
right.
Okay, all right.
And
Mr. Reichenberg.
thank you, Governor. And for the estimates for the similar type of Jetta, how did you come about obtaining those estimates?
I looked online at Carvana and Car Gurus. I obtained 3 of them, I believe it was, and those are in the report.
And so those are the 3 similar models that you could find on the internet for pricing purposes for purchasing?
Right.
And thank you for that. And as far as this case goes, is there anything else you'd like the court to know as far as how this has impacted you? I know you've mentioned about how thankful you are as far as not sustaining further injury, but anything else you'd like the court to know about this case?
How it has impacted me. I don't know if it's actually more like a PTSD type of thing, but I do react when cars are pulling out. They're oncoming and they pull to the left. So
Thank you very much.
And just so you know, my wife has noticed that too. So, yeah, okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Hang on, Mr. Mitchell.
I do have a couple of questions, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Sir, just briefly, was Liberty Mutual your insurance company or an insurance company that you made a claim against based on Ms. Mitchell's?
That was the claim against that based on what I got from the police report.
Okay, did you have, so this wasn't off of your insurance's comprehensive coverage or anything like that?
Right.
Okay, and did you ever seek the difference in values from the vehicle from any insurance company?
Only from Liberty Mutual because they didn't.
Did you, and I'm not trying to put any burden on you there, but did you ever argue with or debate with Liberty Mutual over the value they were giving you versus what the vehicle was supposedly worth?
I did.
Okay, because I didn't see that in here, that's what
Oh,
I'm
okay.
asking. Okay. And they basically said, take our number or not?
Pretty much.
Okay. All right, very good, Your Honor. Thank you, I have nothing further.
All right, Mr. Reichenberg, anything that's a follow-up?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Merritt, thank you very much. I always appreciate it when somebody comes and provides testimony.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Counsel, next. Where are we headed?
Your Honor, I believe that I need some time to go over this request. When Mr. Reichenberg and I went down the hallway at 9:45 this morning, he indicated to me that there was no restitution before the court. So I certainly haven't had an opportunity to go with that or to discuss in depth with Ms. Mitchell during our break what that's going to look like for her and everything else. So I do need some time for that. Additionally, Judge, it appears as if we did file the issue with mental health court. They haven't supplied a approval or denial letter yet as of this time. We may have been inside the window at that time, but it took us a few days to get up to speed on how to get that done, so I apologize to the court. It also appears that there may need to be a substance abuse evaluation done. It looks like we're going to continue the matter because of the restitution issue and because of this issue with the applications and evaluations, we need to continue. So
Okay.
I think he's stipulated that.
Mr. Reichenberg, any objection?
No.
Counsel, what are you thinking, 30 days?
I think we can get it done sooner than that, Judge. What's your court availability?
Mr. Sonderfeld, what is the date, counsel? Mr. Reichenberg knows this, Mr. Evenson, because he's although not a regular in Department 1, regular in the 2nd Judicial District.
Right.
It's getting a little unmanageable.
We're aware of that.
Mr. Sonderfeld, what's the next day we can do Ms. Mitchell's continued sentencing?
April 25th at 10:30 due to the V1 calendar.
April 25th at
10:30.
10:30. Mr. Evenson, does that work with your calendar?
Just 1 second, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor, that does work.
Okay.
And obviously, is there any chance that the court could prescriptively admit Ms. Mitchell on any of this?
To mental health court?
Yes.
No.
Not until you get the letter.
No.
Okay.
The statute's very clear.
Okay.
Sorry, what time would that be, Your Honor?
It'll be at 10:30 a.m. on April 25th.
Your Honor,
Are you in trial?
I am not in trial, however, I did an attempted murder case in December with Judge Breslow, and my victim's a quadriplegic, and we had to make special accommodations for
I
the
do.
sentencing at 11 a.m. Across the street in the family court division, and that's at 11 on the 25th. I can do both that day. I just, if we could go earlier or later, I anticipate that as a co-defendant case.
I think the bulk of what, in terms of evidence, and now we have the restitution, I think the bulk of what needs to be done has been done in this case, except for me hearing, looking at the mental health evaluation, considering the mental health court application and a substance abuse evaluation. If I get it, Mr. Evenson, file the mental health court evaluation. You can file it confidentially
Okay.
on eFlex, please, so that I can look at it.
And we were told to only supply that to the mental health court, to where we filed it to.
Okay.
So that was the confusion on that.
Okay, and then if you get a substance abuse evaluation, please file that before
Will.
April 25th. And then, Mr. Reichenberg, we can get you on that morning no later than 10.
Oh,
So if I haven't gotten through the criminal calendar, we'll call you no later than 10 that morning to make sure that we have 30 or 45 minutes before you have to run across the street.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. So, Judge, what actual time do you want us here? Do you want us here
I
at
want
10?
you, come at 9 a.m. Well,
Okay.
yeah, come at 9 a.m. If I
Okay.
can get you on first, I will. Mr. Evenson, the other thing too is if you want her in adult drug court, it's not diversion, but you want me to consider adult drug court for
We,
her.
we want you to consider whatever you are willing to do to allow her to keep her criminal record clear at the end of the day and provide her as much supervision and guidance as you feel is necessary.
Okay,
So
if you're gonna file the substance
we'll
abuse,
do all of it.
if you're gonna file the substance abuse evaluation, just put a cover pleading on it that says
Okay.
why it's being provided.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, council, I'll see you back here April 25th, 2024, 9 a.m.
Great, great, great. Thank you.
Okay, let's go with case number